I'm in the US now for almost 32 years.
32 years.
32 years.
Wow. What year was that?
I came in 1989. I was 19 years old, and I'm about to turn 52 this year. So yeah, I've been here for quite a long time, almost 33 years now. Yeah.
Why did you come here that time?
Well, like a lot of people who decide to leave their country, there's usually a good reason. So my reason was desire to take my dreams into a country that will accommodate them.
What kind of dream did you have?
There's all kinds of dreams, and so first of all, being born as a girl in a culture that I grew up in has its disadvantages the moment you were born. So unfortunately, in a place I was growing up, being a girl meant that you can't, you shouldn't, it's not nice, it's not for girls, that's not for you, you don't know how, and all these little things that would limit a young woman in living out her talents or her dreams. And not to, on top of that, obviously at the time when I was growing up, my country, which was Yugoslavia at that time, was communist. And so that too had a lot of limitations on a young life, on anybody in general. But being a young girl and being born in a society where women were predispositioned to live a certain way of life, and on the top of that you have a system that also limits you. As a little girl, all I could think about was, okay, you can do this, but one day I'm going to America. And I just knew since I was a little girl that I would come to the United States one day, and that was the reason to come. I just wanted to be in America so I can do whatever I wanted to do.
If you have a dream to come to the United States, you have to consider some options. Either work a travel program, apply to a university, come as an exchange student, or be sponsored by the company. How did you find your way out from Serbia?
It was a little miracle, and to this day when I think about it, it really is, sometimes it's just the faith. And the faith and the will, when they come together, it's like almost anything's possible. So at that time, first of all, I was educated through military, through Air Force.
Oh, wow.
So I was one of the 10 girls which were allowed to become avioelectromechanics.
Oh my God.
In the whole country. So the government was experimenting with us to see how women will perform in these positions. And so when I finished the school, I'm 18 years old, I finished the school, and at 19 they put us to work. And so I was now basically owned by the government. I had a government job. I mean, everybody had a government job because the government owned all the businesses, but this in particular. And so at 19, you know, I'm working and I see people who are going to work back and forth from work. You know, I'm looking at their faces and I'm thinking, I don't want to go and ride the same bus, you know, every day back and forth until my life expires. And, you know, deep inside, I always knew that I needed to come here. The bottom line, I make a decision to go. And at that time, my brother-in-law was coming to visit his family in America. And I asked my parents if I could go. Of course, my family was very much against it. I was 19 years old, you know, to go to another world alone. And I had this job, which supposedly was a great accomplishment. There were only few of us. And, you know, if you work within a military or Air Force, you're guaranteed apartment. Sometimes down the road, you had a paycheck. The government will come pick you up from your home and take you to work. You had privileges that a lot of young people didn't have in Yugoslavia at that time. So leaving that position was out of the question. First of all, because I was bound to government. Second of all, my family just thought that I was so accomplished already. It's like, how could you leave this job? But anyhow, I knew that I needed to go, and I knew that I would not have the support of my family. So I secretly started working on passport. I got the passport, and I went to the embassy. And at the time, when I was at the American embassy, there were masses of demonstrations were passing by the embassy, and so the things in Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia, were kind of brewing, and things were starting to happen and preparing for that big war. And by some miracle, and it really was a miracle, I was given visa. And being young, I mean, usually that's like absolutely no. Nobody can leave.
Because you had this position as well.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It was really interesting. And first of all, just to get a permission from government to apply for visa, that was a little miracle in itself, because the person in charge of our base, it's very interesting how life plays, how little components play a big thing and a big role in life. So when I've worked, we always had opportunity to stay late and work overtime.
Yep.
And so people would usually leave, and I always stayed a little overtime. And during these hours is when the person who was in charge of the base would walk the hangars and see who's there. And he would often run into me. And I had a really, really curly hair at that time, really, really blonde and very curly. And me being so petite, he will always come and tease me and notice me. It's like, so you're working late again tonight. But the bottom line is he remembered me. Yeah. And when it was time to ask for permission to leave, it was him who I needed to ask for permission. Long story short, he was not available when I needed the papers. He was in a meeting, and I was in the middle of this hallway just praying to God. I said, okay, God, I need to go. And at that moment, he walks out of the meeting. And, I was just all over him, please, I need you. And, long story short, somehow I managed to get a permission from government to apply for visa. Although it was strictly prohibited for anybody in the country to leave the country at the time. So that was a miracle.
It's a miracle.
And then visa, that was a miracle.